everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the call. It's such a pleasure to have all of you on the call this afternoon, and I trust we are all doing well. My name is Eric Mogo. I'm the Director of Programs here at the Liberally Center, and will be your moderator for today's webinar. I trust all of you are doing well and you're having a fantastic weekend already. So we are joining this call from, whether you're joining from Nigeria, you're joining from Kenya, you're joining from any part actually of the globe you're joining this call from. It will do us good to really recognize you, know where you're joining from, and have a taste of how the weather is from your different parts of the world. So once again, my name is Eric, and I'm super excited to be having all of you on the call this afternoon. Before we bring Kehinde to take us on the session for today, we'll be discussing truth, tech, and tyranny, how to promote media freedom even in the age of digital surveillance. We want to see the root causes of why the media is still not safe, even when it's one of those tools we use in advocacy, and how we, who are human beings or individuals in the society, what role do we have to play when it comes to the government, ourselves, using the tech space, and how we can be able to safeguard ourselves when it comes to all of these things. So please permit me, before I bring Kehinde Adegboyega to take the session, to just go through his bio so that we know who we're interacting with and see how best we could flow with him. So Kehinde Adegboyega is the co-founder and executive director of the Human Rights Journalists Network Nigeria, a non-profit organization dedicated to empowering communities and media professionals to defend human rights, freedom of expression, digital access across Nigeria. Under his leadership in the Human Rights Journalists Network, he has partnered with major institutions including Amnesty International, Nigeria, the United Nations Information Center, and the Office of the High Commission for Human Rights, among others, to deliver high-impact training programs on digital rights, cybersecurity, and press freedom. Kehinde also serves as the Festival Director of the Africa International Human Rights Film Festival, an annual advocacy platform in Lagos. The 2024 edition featured over 200 films from across the globe and hosted distinguished panels with international experts, policy leaders, and civil society actors. As a recognized voice in internet governance, Kehinde is a fellow of several prestigious institutions, including the African School of Internet Governance, where he engaged with continental stakeholders on policy reform, the West African School of Internet Governance, and ECOWAS accredited program focused on strengthening regional IG capacity, and the Nigerian School of Internet Governance, organized by the Internet Society Nigeria chapter to nurture the next generation of IG leaders. Kehinde is the convener of the West African Digital Rights Defenders Coalition, a regional initiative that brings together digital rights organizations, including ASF Nigeria, Article 19, and Access Now, to document and respond to rights violations such as internet shutdown, surveillance, disinformation campaigns. Within the Internet Society Nigerian chapter, Kehinde co-chaired the legal and digital rights working groups, where he leads efforts in policy advocacy, civic engagement, and the development of ethical framework that upholds a secure and open internet. His work has earned him invitations to international summits, most notably as a panelist at RightCon 2025, the world foremost conference on human rights in digital age. Deeply passionate about career development and capacity building, Kehinde actively mentors early career journalists and technologists. At the 2023 launch of the Nigerian Media Capacity Development Report, he encouraged young professionals to pursue local and international fellowships as critical pathway to growth and impact. Through his multifaceted work across journalism, civic tech, and internet governance, Kehinde continues to shape a more inclusive digital future and amplify the voices of African youth creative, and human rights defenders. Ladies and gentlemen, if your hands are not too busy, please use your emoji. Make welcome Kehinde Adegboyega, the Chief Executive Director of the Human Rights Journalist Network in Nigeria. Super excited to have you, Kehinde, this evening. I hope you're doing fantastic well. Please, if you can hear me, you can please unmute your mic and let's hear from you. Just to say hi, then of course, you can have the stage to have the presentation. Once again, welcome. This is the Liberally Center, and we're super excited to have you.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's great to be being here. I stay in Lagos, but I'm presently joining from Abuja, and I was at the West African IGF. That's a regional and multi-stakeholder uh, institution that talks about internet governance within West Africa, and it's a pleasure to be able to join you virtually. And thank you for the team at Liberalist Center for inviting me to be here. I want to appreciate everyone that's taking time. I know this is a weekend. Some people are on their way to their house. Some people are stuck in traffic. And I hope that this session will be worth our time. So straight to the topic of today, we are looking at tech truth and tyranny. I hope you can help me share my slide from your end.
Please acknowledge if you can see the slide. I've been sharing it ever since. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can see it. I just wanted to be sure.
Great.
So we'll be talking about truth, tech truth, tyranny, and protecting media freedom. And I really appreciate the team for taking the topic exactly in this time like this, that media freedom, freedom of expression is really under serious form of pressure globally, not just in sub-Saharan Africa, but globally anywhere. Even in I think it would be good to mention that even our so-called model democracy, which is America, press freedom has become a major issue. And I'm very sure you are aware of the recent visa policy for students that want to study in America, that the intentional has that any form of visa interview will be paused for them so that they can monitor the social media posts of potential students that want to come and study in America. I'm just giving you an example that these issues that we are discussing today is not just a regional issue within the global south. Our model of democracy is a major issue. And we've seen people that have been that my immigration status have been revoked because of one statement they made online. I've forgotten the name of the immigration task force that's trying to arrest people. So it's not just about Nigeria, but it's a global problem. So, and I think it could. So what America is trying to do now is an example of digital surveillance, monitoring citizens' comments, people's comments about what they feel, which whether we like it or not, is a major concern. It should be a major concern for anybody that is interested in the future, that is interested in liberty, that is interested in human rights, that is interested in democracy. Our right to freedom of expression is guaranteed in our national constitution, even in international human treaties. So we should be concerned about the way this these issues are spanning out. So next slide. We'll be generally looking at the crisis of digital surveillance and vis-a-vis how it affects media per se. We'll be looking at collision of tech truths and tyranny, understanding core dilemma and implication. We're also looking at some of the case studies uh, that we have that we can use to real time what the examples of this surveillance, uh, possible solutions, and key takeaways. And please, I try to rush through my slides because I believe we can all make contribution, and I hope the organizers are looking forward to not just having this webinar, but releasing a communique because we can add to the conversation about the issues of press repression because it's really a major concern and we cannot afford to keep quiet. Like I said, it's a growing crisis, a growing crisis. Imagine your phone hacked, sources compromised, stories leaked. This is reality for many journalists. Digital surveillance is weaponized to stifle dissent and suppress reporting. So and I'm very sure most of the participants are likely be joining us from Nigeria. So the Nigerian government, we are not aware, they acquired Pegasus some years back in the disguise of fighting terrorism, trying to track terrorism. But what we have seen happen is that they are using this digital tool to track journalists, to which there are lots of evidence. If we even the cybercrime unit of the Nigerian police force in Abuja specifically told a board chairman of a major online newspaper that they are monitoring, they are listening to our conversation. This is unlawful. These are unlawful surveillance because, like I said, it can compromise freedom of expression when stories are being leaked. We've seen cases of where journalists are still doing reports, but they are being invited. They have not published their report, but they are being invited by the state security for questioning, serious questioning. Uh, so these are the issues that is becoming uh, uh, a very major dilemma for the media profession and for freedom of expression in Nigeria and globally. So we've seen also issues around even shutdown, internet shutdown. This happened during I'm very sure some of us did experience it, especially during the protest. We saw a lot of internet shutting. I was in Lagos, and it was some of us are digital activists participating online, but we are not in the field. And I was also coordinating with journalists on the field. It was a major crisis. Like internet was throttled so that people could not send out message. It would take a while to even upload a picture, and I'm very sure a lot of people on this call experienced that. Uh, Free media, that I'm on the fourth slide now. Free media is democracy's cornerstone, holding power accountable, but it's under threat from advanced surveillance tools. Government, private actors monitor journalist moves. This is we are trying to talk about tech tools because of the work that journalists do. They have come under serious surveillance. Under serious surveillance. We have now seen an emerging surveillance capitalism. Digital principles have been commodified and exploited. Searches, texts, and conversations are now becoming vulnerable. So you see, recently, I'm very sure we are aware, a lot of people on this call are aware of the fine that the Nigerian government gave to Meta about the use of our data. So this is also the way our digital footprint are being commodified. they are going to use that. So that puts us at a lot of risk and all that. So, like I mentioned, authoritarian regimes are now beginning to use spyware to intimidate journalists. Democratic governments justify surveillance for national security. Nigerian government, one of the major reason they give even for the repression of freedom of expression is this ambiguous phrase, national security, and it's been a major concern for us as civil society, as the civil space, that we cannot continue to repress freedom of expression under the guise of national security, that this is even opaque. And we see this phrase being used in most of the laws that they use try to repress the freedom of expression space. An example is the Cybercrime Act amended, is it 2024 now? So that you can be arrested for cyberbullying the president. I don't know what that means for cyber stalking. A whole number one president that when he moves around, he moves with DSS and others. So you can for writing a report that is trying to hold government accountable, you can be arrested for cyberbullying the president. So I will give some international, beyond our national references, we'll give some international examples. I'm on slide 5 now, sixth slide. Some international examples, so we like Mexico. Mexico, um, earlier in the year, I was part of I was part of a Global South fellowship, and I was able to relate with people from the Global South. I want to encourage anybody on this call, don't limit your interaction to people locally. Begin to interact, whether virtually, share experiences. You see that one of the things I've noticed is that some of our concerns, they are like the same concern anywhere in the world. So it helps you to understand, to build synergy, to build collaboration and all that. Mexico has acquired Pegasus software like Nigeria had mentioned earlier. From 2017 to 2021, Mexican journalists investigating corruption were targeted by Pegasus software spyware. Camel Aris was among 21 journalists surveilled without oversight. This led to self-censorship and fear. In 2022, 13 journalists were killed in Mexico. This is a major concern. So uh, even like locally too, this has made a lot of journalists self-censored. Like, oh, with this story that I'm doing, will it trigger someone, trigger a politician? Will it trigger a major powerful non-state actor? Like recently, about 3 or 4 journalists were in jail for 6 months for reporting about a major bank in Nigeria, a major bank. They were initially adopted. That is what we call, because there was not a court order. They were tracked to their house and kept in prison until for like 6 months while the case is in court, which is not criminal defamation. It was a civil matter, but you kept journalists in prison and all that. So like Nigeria, like Mexico, 21 journalists have been surveilled without judicial oversight, without a court order. 13 journalists have been killed in Mexico. And next, in Greece, I'm taking references to international case studies and also talking about what is happening in our own region here. This National Intelligence Service called use predator spyware to monitor reporters, journalists. Stavros Mekitrudis was targeted. Government deniers were contradicted by independent investigations. accountability remains exclusive. So we are give this is another case of another country in Greece, which is Greece. They use the spyware that they are using is not Pegasus, it's Predator spyware. It was used by the National Intelligence Service there, and they are used to target journal covering migration and corruption. And there was a lack of accountability despite independent investigation. China, oh, China, the almighty China. On slide 7 now, the almighty China. China's social credit system uses facial recognition, AI, and big data. Journalists are scored and punished for different. A lot of human rights violations in China is not made to the public. What we only know for now, oh, China is advanced in technology. China is a single party system and all that is developing. That, but they use a lot of state surveillance to try to censor, put everybody in control, especially the journalists. And this normalizes independent outlets face intensified monitoring. This normalizes self-censorship and erodes press independence. We need to take note of the tools that are being used for surveillance in those cases that we have identified. In China, we are seeing because they are deploying technology, advanced technology. We have seen where they use facial recognition, AI, and data and the social credit system in their country. I we are getting close to the end of the presentation, but we are not just going to look at the challenges. We want to talk about the solution, and I'll be rounding off soon so that there'll be opportunity for question and answer, and maybe within this forum we can critically look at what can be done because it's not it's what you see that the solution to tyranny, to control the repression of the media or president of freedom of expression is not an isolated solution. It's going to be a multi-stakeholder solution. For a start, I will try to postulate some solutions that I think that we can try to protect media freedom. The challenge is global, like I said. It's not just Nigeria that face this challenge. Our model of democracy, America, is we have been monitoring global news. You see a lot of repression that is happening there. Here are 4 evidence-backed strategies to protect journalism from digital surveillance. Number one, we need to strengthen legal safeguards, enact robust data protection and surveillance law, ensure independent oversight body. Like for instance, one of the issues we still have with our old data protection agency in Nigeria is that there is no independence. I'm very sure, and I want to know. You can send me reactions if you have found this because I've been saying some things. I want people to be sure. I want to be sure that I'm not spreading fake news. We are all aware that when there was a leak at NIPSI, that NIPSI is the national body that is taking care of our digital ID, our national ID. There was a leak, and I am expecting reactions. Use the reaction button if you are aware of that incident. I want to see reaction. Are you aware when our data got leaked at NIPSI? Did you read the story? I'm expecting. Okay, if you cannot use the reaction button, I want you to say you can use the voice or the the comment section. Yes or no? Are you aware of when our information was leaked, our digital information was leaked to NIMSI? Uh, please respond. There are about 18 of us on this call, and I'm very sure most of us are Nigerians. That news is already stale news, so you can't tell me you are not aware.
Hello?
Are we aware? Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, yes, we are.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't know whether our other colleagues on the meeting are shy. Please, it's no time to be shy. Please, let's speak out. It's time to speak out. So, let's say I want us to be on the same page, that I want to use this as a major example. The federal government find Meta through I think, consumer protection, the federal consumer protection agency. I've forgotten the name now, but nobody has been able to find Nipsey for the breach of data. So that is why we are saying that we want an independent data protection institution that can call the government to order and can also call the private sector to order. Because even though we have some form of information, our private information is with telco, with our banks and other people, a lot of them are also held by government, and which can put us at serious risk, especially journalists or dissenting. But if this information are leaked and there are no oversight, so we are clamoring for a stronger legal safeguard that enacts robust data protection and surveillance law. That is not that anybody can just say they are monitoring you. We have seen cases where journalists are under surveillance, like every time they are flying out of this country for one country, they are under surveillance. A major, a journalist, I remember now, is now running an NGO, a media NGO, an NGO that supports media and press freedom. Was recently, we celebrated the fact that DSS said is no more under surveillance anymore. And I think, I'm not so sure, he has been on surveillance for like more than 8 years. So imagine you are under surveillance of your country security. Like, I don't know how scary it can be. It can be. So we need major laws that can oversight, that can create independent oversight over those bodies. The national, there is an agency within the presidency that is also overseeing security. The national security, I've forgotten what they call their name now. They should not be. They should work within the law and not run. And because we are not saying that surveillance is not good, but unlawful surveillance. There might be need for surveillance, but it must be lawful. It can be misused to the extent that when they are not part of our party, we can start using to track them. They are reporting something about us that we don't like. We can. So that is why we need to create laws that will help us regulate that part to ensure that when there at all there is need for surveillance, like recently in Abuja, I don't know if any one of us are aware that we had a bomb blast that was, we thank God that it only affected the person, the suicide bomber. It did not go beyond that. So there is necessity for surveillance, but surveillance must be lawful, must be within the law, not random citizens, not people, not journalists, and all that. So another key solution that I want to emphasize is building digital security capacity. So we need to find a way to train journalists. At our organization, we try to do what we can do to train journalists to with tools to protect themselves and sources and to reduce cyber attacks. The kind of attack that journalists face now, beyond the Delegiwa bomb, letter bomb that was sent to the digital attack. Journalists face digital attacks, tracking their phone devices. And one of the things that also happen even with NGOs now is when we see the state security go to their facility, the first thing they take hold is their digital devices, the laptops and phones. So we need to find a way to train journalists and everybody working around press freedom, demonstration, we choose to protect themselves and their sources to reduce cyber attacks. The third solution is hold big tech accountable, like the way, even though I'm very sure we all heard about with the issue with Meta, Meta expecting that, oh, if they can't afford to pay this fine, rather they leave Nigeria and all those. But we need to hold them accountable. And I'm very sure some of us may be aware of this incident. It was not so popular, but someone was chatting through one of the platform of Meta, which is Facebook, and the person was getting an information at the other end that the person you are chatting with is from Nigeria, like profiling. Profile, even though Meta has come out to say, no, that's not our intention, blah, blah, blah. But we need to hold big tech accountable to mandate transparency and accountability. Big tech is what is being used to our time may not permit us, but big tech beyond the social media platforms, beyond all this that we are doing and all that, big tech are contributing to the digital tools that are being used to fight war in Gaza or in Ukraine. But we need to hold them accountable because the war that we presently have is not a war of the old gun. Their AI, we're seeing wars where they are now using AI weapons to target people, to shoot at sites, to shoot at buildings, and all those things. We need to mandate transparency and accountability. And the last solution I want to uh, mention is foster global solidarity. We need to support cross-border coalitions and advocacy campaigns, set legal precedents. One, let me try to explain that. So for us as an organization manager network, we started a coalition, which is the West Africa Digital Rights Defenders Coalition, because we noticed that we need to build regional support for what is happening. Like for instance, there are a lot of repression happening in Cameroon, and if you are spoken to any citizen of Cameroon, they are afraid to speak out, especially the Anglophone speaking part of Cameroon. They are afraid to speak out before because they could be arrested by their government. But if we have that kind of information about the pressure that is happening in Cameroon, we can speak out on their behalf. We can speak out on their behalf. And there are a lot of coalitions beyond the West African Digital Rights Defenders Coalition that we started that is within the West African region. We have a coalition by Access Now, the Keep It On coalition. We are also a member of that coalition, and I want to encourage everyone on this meeting for you to be able to fight the kind of battle that we are presently in. You can't do it at the local level. You need a regional support. You need international support. So Access Now has a global coalition around internet shutdown issue, which is Keep It On. Keep It On has been they monitor internet shutdown, like the Twitter ban that we had in Nigeria. Keep It On was a major tool to so that in that kind of coalition, you see global north and global south solidarity. Europe is supporting Africa, Africa is supporting Europe. Everybody's concerned about what is happening in Niamey. Everybody's concerned about what is happening in Ethiopia and others. So you build some kind of solidarity. Oh, this is happening here. Let's release statements. Everybody sign up. That is part of what we can use to deal with this kind of repression that we are facing and set legal precedent. At our whole regional level, we have the ECOWAS courts, and the ECOWAS courts are being I was at they had an outreach like 3 weeks ago in Lagos. I was there, and why I was there also is because I appreciate what the ECOWAS court have done. They've been able to help us set precedent, even though we know the issue with Nigeria. They know they obey court order. We understand those issues, but it has helped us to push back and this repression. Like for instance, the Cybercrime Act of 2014 was taken to the court that there are which but even though there's still a lot of issue with the amended act, but the precedent that we had from the ECOWAS court about some part of those laws, if some of us are aware about that act, it is a major tool. Even the Nigeria police have become like the people interpreting to us, telling us that you have committed a cybercrime act. So anything like this, they say it's cybercrime act and all that. So the ECOWAS court have been helpful to do that. And I'm talking about even if we cannot get our local court to give us some level of justice, we can approach the ECOWAS court. So I'm also aware of a recent judgment about the some of the blasphemy law in the northern part of Nigeria that is being used to repress freedom of expression. Like we are to not just repress freedom of expression, it has even resulted into killing of some people just for making innocent comment or saying or just having an opinion or so because so there was a favorable judgment I think was it last month or so. I know the lawyer that was that took that case to the ECOWAS court, trying to say that the blasphemy law should not exist that it is against even our national constitution. So we need from what we have heard, our own regional court has been exhausted as a very exemplary court around human rights, and they focus on human rights. It's a court of human rights. That is what I understand. So what I mentioned is that we need to try to ensure that we, apart from cross-border solidarity, we need to also look at legal support that we can get, like in regional courts, like in European Union, in EU, they have their whole regional court. We also have the African Union court too. So we need to be aware of this regional process that we can use to get some level of pushback. The last slide. I hope we are prepared for our questions, our comments, and what we think about the conversation that we're having today. Call to action. My call to action. The fight to protect media freedom is a fight to preserve truth. Surveillance technologies are grave threats, but we are not powerless. Your role matters. We have mentioned legal framework, implement stronger laws to protect ourselves, digital hygiene, cyber security training tools that we need to give to journalists and human rights defenders, global advocacy, collective support, and corporate collective accountability. I want to emphasize more on that corporate accountability because most of these global digital platforms they don't even have an office in our region. We might need to come together to be able to get justice for misuse of our data. Look at the way Meta is subtly threatening us that which they can't, is it possible for them to do with EU or the Latin American country and all those things like that and all those. So you can see that even when TikTok was banned in America, they are trying to negotiate. They are trying to negotiate, not the way Meta is threatening us, subtly threatening us and say, oh, we cannot afford to pay for, instead of trying to negotiate. And most importantly, obey local laws around what is the infringement about. How can you address it? So we need to come together as a region, as a collective, to demand responsibility from this tech so that we can be protected in the digital space. That this is the end of my conversation for today. Thank you for the opportunity. Uh, I would now want to hand over to the moderator. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so very much, Kehinde. That was really, really insightful. I think I've learned a lot from your session, and I believe that everyone on this call, be it journalist, be it a human rights defender, be it somebody who uses the digital space in advocacy, or whatever you're doing, whether you're just scrolling through Instagram or you're just scrolling through your phone, as long as you use the media, you are part of this global discussion we're talking about, because looking from what Kehinde has given us, yes, giving us even some of the solutions, and I was really keen to the solutions you gave, like accountability to big data and how we need to really manage this space in creating our own effectiveness, or being able to be accountable about what we do, what is the role of government, and how we should even create this advocacy. So I believe this is a timely discussion. Thank you so very much for making that rundown from the introduction, giving us statistical data from different countries like Mexico, China, Nigeria, Africa, and the likes, and even narrow it down to journalism as it is in Africa, and how we on this call, people listening to this discussion or might listen to it after now, can also contribute to the global surveillance or the global reach of protecting the media space for all, and making it very friendly, of course, for everybody to be part of using the media effectively. So thank you so very much, Kehinde, for that wonderful session. It was really, really mind-blowing, I must say. Please, we are down to comments, questions, and yeah, like, let's hear from you. You've heard from Kehinde, and I believe you have questions for him. I believe you have comments. I believe you have one or two things to say. Please, the floor is open. You can either use the chat box, or just maybe by the raise of hands, and we could give you access to talk. Of course, we already have the access, but let's just know that you'll be the first or the second, so that we can take it chronologically as the hands comes up. So please, the floor is open. Let's get to hear from you. Let's get to hear your comments, your questions, and I believe Kehinde is on the call to answer all of those questions we might have for him. Okay, so I'm checking through the participant tag now. I don't see any hand up. Do we have any hands? I'm also checking through the comment section to see if I can get comments, questions. So it'd be nice if we can contribute to this discussion. Just like Kehinde said from the beginning, it can be used as a communique to actually, influence a whole lot of issues out there. So it'd be nice if you can really contribute to this webinar. Hello, any hands? Any question? Any comments? Okay, so we have a hand. Favor Adegboyega, please. You can mute yourself and ask your question, or maybe your comment.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kehinde. That was really insightful, and I really learned a lot. Because in the media landscape, there are lots of restrictions that in the work. So basically, my question is this: when it comes to citizens, citizens sometimes have to use social media to express themselves. And when it comes to media freedom, it encompasses journalists and everyone that uses the media to express themselves, basically civilly. So how do citizens in Africa navigate digital surveillance, basically? Because there are legislations. I know you've already covered this in the presentation, right? But then when it comes to laws that are binding, there are different issues of the DSS arresting people in Nigeria, arresting people, the police are because of flimsy charges like hate and a citation of violence, which obviously they do not do with the way they speak or with the way they type whatever they do online. But then these laws still violate their freedom. Please, how do you think youth can navigate this issue? Thank you.
So thank you so much for that question, Favor. One of the major things that were, even though I need to emphasize this, that even if I'm going to suggest some, let's say, technical things to do, but the government have more resources at their hand. There are more resources to track, like the. So I also need to let you know that the budget of the defense is a budget that nobody's aware of. They don't like. You can't even use FOI. FOI, which is Freedom of Information Bill Act. You can't use FOI. You call it under the it's under national security to know the kind of investment that is going to the defense, which also somehow goes to in acquiring some of these surveillance technologies and tools. So what I'm trying to emphasize that is that the government has a lot of resources that it can, but however, we cannot neglect the fact that citizens can do some little form of thing. Citizens generally can do some form of thing to protect themselves. And one of the things that I've ever suggested is this: if you are doing an investigative report, ensure that your official, the device that you are using for investigative report is different from your personal phones. You need to separate your digital uh, official life from your personal life. So another thing also is that because of the critical work that you do, even as a human rights defender, as a journalist, your digital footprint, you need to be careful what you post. I'm not talking about self-censorship. I'm just talking about information about your private life that you know that anybody can use against you or that can be used to track you. Like for instance, this is not may not be a good example, but may be a good reference. The popular rapper in South Africa that was killed, and I'm very sure a lot of us remember that incident. We heard his girlfriend posted a live picture of where they were at, as I think maybe the restaurant or the club where he was eventually attacked and killed. So you need to be careful what you put online to ensure that you might. So, for instance, if you don't want, if you because of the kind of work that you do, or you are not sure whether you are under serious surveillance or the others, you can be at an event and not, you can keep your digital stuff or your pictures, videos, and all this like that until you leave that place and say, oh, I was at this place, blah, blah, blah. And you have left there like 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours ago. So ensure, so part of also what that we do as an organization is that we, for us to try to play it safe too, especially if we are going for international conference and we are addressing some issues, we don't talk about it. You'll never see it online until we are at the conference venue. So these are little things that we can do to somehow try to protect ourselves. And apart from that, the data security hygiene, two-factor control, protect your, use the strongest password. Don't use the same password on your all your social media. Try to your protect your passwords on your bank accounts and all those things like that. And there's also some technical things that we can do that we may not be able to talk about, like encryption. So one of the other things I also want to mention that depending on the kind of work that you do, especially as a journalist, the WhatsApp is not encrypted, not well encrypted. Facebook and others, the best option for you among others is Signal. If you want to talk to sources and you want an encrypted conversation, go there. If you are talking with sources that you know is seriously at risk, don't do that on a phone call. Your phone calls is being monitored. So the option that will benefit everybody is to ensure, like I cannot emphasize it enough, is to see how we can influence stronger laws that protect our digital rights, that protect us against unlawful surveillance and all that. Thank you. I hope I've been able to answer your question.
Yes, sir, you were able to. But I want to add something. When it comes to youth expressing themselves online, let's say, for instance, when citizens have to, express their displeasure when it comes to policy implementation, when it comes to state of governance and all of that, and ethical governance as well, how do they do so without being attacked or without um being victims of laws like hate speech laws and all of that? Thank you, sir.
So thank you again for rephrasing also the question. But also, so the reality is this: look at this example is a good one for this question that we have asked. Recently, there was an NYC core member in Lagos. I'm very sure a lot of us are aware of that. That was unhappy about. I think part of what she mentioned was even the allowance that they said they want to increase to 70,000. That was taking their years of promises to make that happen. I think he also made comment about the way Lagos is. I can't remember some of the things, but the things, and I think she also made comment about the hardship in the country. The things that she was saying were valid, and she came under attack from NYC, from people that like the ruling party. Everybody was like attacking her, but we thank God for people that solidarized with her, that got her legal representation to ensure that she got the support that she needed and she was not victimized for speaking out. So what I also want in line with that is that be aware of your legal protection. Be aware of your legal protection. Be aware of people in case you get into any form of problem. You need to be first aware of who can give you some form of support. I think one other thing also is that if you for any reason you think that you are under, because digital threats sometimes move on to physical threats, and we have seen that happen in a lot of time. So digital threats move on to physical threats. If you need to move from your location that a lot of people are aware of, if you need to go offline for a while, if you need to go through therapy, because sometimes the kind of attack, I'll give an example. A journalist did a report, and even that report, it was reporting for a mainstream media. I don't want to mention the mainstream media, and the report that he did not even appear on the pages of the printed newspaper. It just started appear on their online version. The kind of threat that that journalist received, he got IBP that night. Like, he was called and he was being threatened. It's as very serious like that. That you will be surprised, and you see cases where people will come to your DM and start cursing every of your generation and all those things like that. So one of the real things we can also do is if you can document all those kinds of incidents, document them to get legal justice. Another thing is that, but that is why you need to solidarize. Don't be alone, especially if you are in this place. Report those things to the platform. When the one-time powerful president of Nigeria tried to threaten a tribe on Twitter, I was part of the people that reported that tweet that made Twitter triggered him to say ban Twitter for 6 months. And we have NGOs, non-profit organizations that work in this space too, that can help you channel your concerns to the right platform to say you are facing this kind of injustice or the others. And most importantly, let's, when people are asking, be aware of laws that is happening at the parliament. Recently, we heard that they are trying to pass a law to criminalize you when you say you don't want to go and vote, you go to prison for it. I mentioned some of us heard about those laws. So we need to be aware of what laws that they have also tried to pass social media bill. And don't say it does not concern you. It will concern you when you become a victim. So you need to be conscious of what is happening in your civic space. You need to be conscious. I think some other questions are coming online. I don't know if you can read them out, the moderator.
Yes, please. Yes, please. So we have Anastasia from Kenya. She's unable to talk because of, I think she's having cold, but she said, my question is, when talking about strengthening legal safeguards, for example, if it's to change law that governs media freedom, then how will we ensure that it's fair without being biased? And how sure are we that the frameworks and the parties involved are not biased? Is there a way it can be tackled, maybe digitally, in this current era? Is it safe to change what we have or just adopt to what is already there? That's the questions from Anastasia Kigaru from Kenya.
Thank you, from Kenya. We are sorry about your bad cold. We solidarize with you. We solidarize with you with the protest that you had about the finance bill, and I know that is still ongoing with your president to ensure we hold him accountable. So, and I can to a large extent connect to the question you're asking, and with a lot of bills that are being passed in Kenya that it could that is likely going to impress Kenya citizens. So you guys are already in the right path. Protest is a legal means. Nobody should tell you, and there have been attempts to criminalize protest, even in Nigeria. Protest is a constitutionally recognized right. Even in international treaties, protest is a right. It could come off, but when we are not talking about that protest, we are talking about peaceful protest. It could come off walking on the street, say we don't agree with this. It could come on social media and say we don't agree with this. So, first thing to do about changing laws that address this is to, number one, protest about it, write about it, organize citizens to look at these laws. And I think this is what I want to re-emphasize it. We should stop. Yes, everybody is facing one challenge or the other, which is true. But we should stop claiming ignorance of what is happening in our country and say, it doesn't concern me. It will concern you. It's like what is happening in Kenya, whatever law is happening in Kenya, is affecting every citizen. It may not be affecting, it may be affecting their parents. So we need to critically question any law or policy that is available. And there's no reason why no law cannot be changed. Like I said, in Nigeria, we had a cybercrime of 2014 that was amended. And why was it amended? Because people spoke out and said, no, there is still part of, even still, there still a lot needs to be adjustment on that law. So that means we can change anything that we think we don't like about any law. But we need to, number one, understand what is the process. And number two, we need to be well informed about policy making. We need to educate ourselves about policy making. Let's not leave policy making to only the legislators. They are the ones, some of them have, for whatever reason, they may have one bias or one agenda they are trying to push. So you have to open your eyes, be alert about those laws that affect. I may not be able to influence the laws in America. I may not be able to influence in Mexico or Nigeria, but I can influence what is happening in my own country because it directly affects me. And we have also mentioned you need to look at your regional court too. Organize on how to take any law, any position that you are not comfortable with, through strategic litigation to your regional court. I think I'm not sure. I think the East African region too. They have a regional court that they can take their issues to. So organize citizens to educate citizens about any laws that needs to be repealed, that needs to adjust, that does not look well with the broader democracy, and say we don't want it, and find a way to ensure, no matter how long it takes, we have to build resilience to ensure that we have the kind of changes that we want. Thank you.
Beautiful. I think that goes a long way to answer Anastasia's question. We are almost coming to the end, like we're already at 6 p.m. West African time, and I think it's 8 p.m. East African time. So I believe it's late in some different parts of the continent. So, but there's one question from Doris Olela. I think also Doris is from Kenya. How can safety of female journalists be improved in Africa? So I don't know, Kehinde, maybe you just use 1 minute to just wrap up with that as we try to finalize.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. One of the ways to improve those safety, especially I don't know what type of power that you have. So we have Female Journalists Association. Those are the ways to put out guidelines. So policy to drive advocacy to ensure that every newsroom has specific safety protection for journalists. Number two, who are the people that are violating, that are infringing on the safety of female journalists? Are they state actors? Are they non-state actors? We need to come up with advocacy to drive at those whoever. Is it the government? Is it the police? So we need to come up with different advocacy mechanisms to address anybody that is not allowing female journalists to be safe. Or is there any law around it that is causing it? Is there any politics within the newsroom that is causing it? We need to come together, address it to the journalism association. Even if the journalism association does not accept it, you can, as a citizen, address it and organize to influence it. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Kehinde. I think that's really rich. That's rich, and also it's also robust. I think it answers Doris's and Natasia's question. So thank you once again for staying tuned with us throughout this webinar where we are discussing tech, truth, and of course, tyranny, how to use media freedom in promoting media freedom in Africa and even, of course, globally. And we've seen from the statistics Kehinde has given and all of what he has said concerning how we should really look out for the media space and become responsible ourselves in trying as much as possible to see that the media space is friendly, good enough for journalists, anybody that is using it at all, not just journalists, anybody that is using it. I think he was so much particular about journalists because, of course, he's a journalist himself. But if you're on this call, I think you've had a rich kind of information that will enable you to foster your advocacy on how you can be protected online. You know, most times people make that mistake. You know, you're traveling to a place, you're already telling people you're traveling to that place, your social media accounts are carrying it and all of that. You're tracked, people are seeing you, things are happening, your accounts are not safe. So no matter that you are there, doesn't mean that you're safe. There are a whole lot of people that are there. And when it comes to liberty or freedom to us, we believe that you have to take responsibility for it because you at the other end are also in charge of, or also should have a say when it comes to your right, both on the media space, as an individual, property right, free market, whatever you're doing, we believe that you have to take responsibility of your actions, which is very, very much important of what Kehinde has buttressed on this call. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining the call. We have some presence from East Africa, Kenya, we have from South Africa, I see some of our fellows at the Journalist for Liberty Fellowship training, fellowship from South Africa and also from Nigeria joining this call. And of course, so many other guests that we have on the call today. Thank you so very much for joining through. Thank you, Kehinde. Please, if your emojis are not too busy, can you just let's just appreciate Kehinde for this wonderful session he has had with us. It's been a moment, seriously, with you, Kehinde, throughout this 1 hour we had to spend together. And I believe that we'll get to meet in subsequent, of course, meeting, webinars, physical gathering, where we get to discuss on how to use the media space for proper advocacy and how to safeguard ourselves when it comes to some of the Sutherland and some of the speeching we've seen from government bodies to, of course, actors of liberty and all of that. So thank you so very much, Kehinde, for the wonderful session. Thank you so very much, everyone, for joining the call. And I believe that you can stay through with us on our social media accounts. You can stay through with us on our website. Keep checking our page for exciting opportunities. And of course, we have a big announcement coming very soon. And of course, I think most of you get the invite to be part of that big announcement. But let me not bore you with all of the information right now. You get to know about it. But please stay tuned to our next month's event that is coming up in June. We have something very, very interesting for you. It's going to be advertised on our social media platform. Once again, thank you so very much. This is the Liberty Center. We're a pro-freedom think tank, spreading liberty and prosperity in Africa. Thank you very much for being part of our webinar this evening, and have a wonderful weekend ahead. Thank you very much, Kehinde, and of course, do have a wonderful evening from your end from Lagos State.